All right, I think we're on here. So I'm with Joana Castanon Bancroft with the Bath Township Library,
Public
um,
library.
Public Library, Bath Township Public Library. Um, why don't we just start out with what your role is there at the library?
I am assistant director and adult librarian at the Bath Township Public Library.
Cool. So the main reason we're jumping on here is you guys do a lot of events throughout the month, and why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit about some of the sensory friendly stuff that you guys do and the events that you guys hold throughout the month?
Yeah, so we do something now called Neurodivergent Mondays, and so we try to hold it all our neurodivergent events on Monday. Um, so like the first one that we do is our ability for adults. It starts at 1 p.m. and that's the first Monday of the month. And what we do is we have different art projects that they can come and do. Mid Michigan Autism Group partnered up with us, and I got a little grant for them. And I was able to buy like different able scissors, some of them like where you just push down, other ones where you just have to clamp down. I also bought like bigger pens and grippers, so if you can't really grip the pens and stuff, I do the craft. I do one craft, but I try to like have different levels of it. So I pre-cut the paper. I also have it where there's different colors, and then I also have like dot markers. So if the craft is just not what they want to do, we have dot markers to offer for the adults to say, or a coloring page. So I offer different ranges of ability for them to come in and be able to feel free to do art in a safe space.
Cool.
Um,
And that's every Monday,
that's the first Monday of the month.
first Monday of the month. And what time is that at?
It starts at 1 p.m.
Cool. Cool.
Our next one is our sensory friendly story times. And those are at 6:15. And those are the second and third Mondays of the month.
Okay.
And so it starts at 6:15 because we figured like parents wanted to go home, have a little bit of dinner, and try to come over here. And we have it's very sensory friendly, so we have an interactive story, so one story, and we try to interact with the kids about um, to make the book a little bit more interesting. We also have a craft, so the crafts are usually a lot easier and kind of open for them to be able to do what they want to do. And then we have usually a song to kind of get that sensory that they're seeking in there. That way we understand, hey, if it's not that long. If you can't stay through the whole story, that's okay. We offer fidgets and other things that they can have while they're doing the craft or story. So we understand, like, sometimes you can't just sit still, so we need something to play with.
Cool. Um, how far do you have people come for these events? I mean, you guys are up in Bath, so you guys are kind of more on the
Yeah.
north side of
Uh,
Lansing. Yeah.
so far, we have a couple local people. We really hope to have more people come throughout, who are close by, especially with the towns next to us. Our last event that we do is our sensory friendly hour. So what we do is we dim down the lights, so half of our lights turn off. We put out a map, a like cardboard pictures of like books that they may want help, if and then, um, like the if and then stories. Like we look for books, we check them out, we leave. That way, there's a visual process, and we give with the sensory story times and with the sensory friendly hour, we give warnings like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, so that way transition becomes a little bit easier for someone who might struggle with transition.
Yep.
Um, and then with those, our sensory friendly hour is really aimed for anybody who might need just a little, like people with PTSD, people who might just need a little bit less sensory. Sometimes when the library can be too busy.
Yeah. How did you, as a library, kind of go down this path of having these events? Was there a group that approached you, or did you have an employee? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I started with the Bath High School. They were
Okay.
looking for a student with autism who is in the spectrum. she wanted to be a librarian, and she was looking for a place to volunteer. And so I started with a program where I started the volunteer program with her where she could come in and volunteer. And it worked really well. We had her for, I think, 30 minutes one year, and then we did a 2 hours because they couldn't find classes for her. And then when she graduated, she didn't really have a schedule because she was like, there's nothing much for her to do. And so we continued that partnership with her parents to continue to volunteer. And then that was like our volunteer piece of it. And as I made connections with Aspire and My Total Balance, and they've been able to find other volunteers other people who struggle to find um, places to volunteer. And I'm like, if they say, do you have space for them? I'll say yes. Because I think more places need to have places for different able people to volunteer. One of our persons who came said that it took 3 years to find a place to volunteer, and I was like, it should never take 3 years to find a place to volunteer. Um, and so with that, I started to expand it because I have a child with autism.
Okay.
Um, I had twins in 2020, and one of them is neurotypical, and the other one is has autism. And so as I grew in my mom role with a child of special needs, I realized that there was things that I wanted to offer him that wasn't quite as easy to find. So that's where my sensory story times came in. I wanted one where like he might have a meltdown and I wasn't being judged at a story time, or like he couldn't sit through the whole story because, he just couldn't. And so I started to work with Mid Michigan Autism with like what would you consider a good story time? And then I did a little bit of research of other programs that were already out there. And so I started in my sensory friendly story times to kind of give that, because he loves the library. And I wanted other parents to know that library was a safe space for everybody, including those children and who were, divergent from neurodivergent. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. How long have you so when did you start? Like was it what year did you guys start having these events?
So with the volunteer ones, it was I think 2020.
Okay.
Um, Sensory friendly story time I think has a full year now,
Okay.
and then art ability is just starting this year. Again, those volunteers that I was getting in, they didn't have structure, they didn't have other places to go, so I said, you know what, we can look at trying to get a craft for adults. And so that's recently 3 months now. When I started the sensory friendly story time, I did start the sensory friendly hour also. So it's about a year old also.
Cool. Cool. Um Going forward, is there anything else on the
I,
horizon that you're looking at, or are you really just focused on okay, let's get the word out that we offer
I
these and try to grow what we already have?
I would love to get more people to come in to get the word out, but I also our plan is to maybe hopefully get a teens neurodivergent group going, and then kind of getting with one of these we want to tie in hopefully a support group for caregivers. So those are my
Cool.
two that are in the works, but we really it's about kind of getting the word out. I mean, hopefully more people see that there is safe spaces in libraries for the neurodivergent community.
Cool. Anything that we didn't cover that you want to share?
One of the things that the library is working on though is working on having community conversations with the special needs and disabled neurodivergent community. We're going to start to have these conversations. The first one's going to be May 22nd at 6 o'clock. And we really want everybody to come, but we really are aiming it for somebody who like tell us what can we do better, what are we not doing enough, what are you looking for in your library, and really have that conversation and hopefully get the word out to hey, come tell us, even if this isn't your library, we can share this with other libraries.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's always nice to get feedback. You try to do what you think you should be doing, and then when other people can come in and give outside input, it's always great because sometimes you don't see things, right? You just like, oh, I didn't even think of that, or
Yeah.
yep. It's always kind of like an evolving you're always just learning more and learning more, and it's great when people come in and provide information in a positive way.
Yeah, because like one of the things that we learned when we opened because we moved spaces from our originals to like this new space in 2020. And one of the things that we didn't think about were like um automatic door openers. So we were able to install the ones in the front, but now we're looking into finding funds for the bathroom ones. It's not something that we thought about, but when we became more active after COVID, there were we have quite a few members who have wheelchairs who were like, I struggle to get that door open in the bathroom. And we're like, you know what? We never thought about that.
Doors
Because
are tough. Doors are tough because they're weighted, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's like, where's that balance? We were just had
yeah,
that conversation here at our hotel. Our doors are very light, um, which is good for some people, but when we leave the room, sometimes the door doesn't literally shut. Like, it won't
yeah.
shut. Like, so your door just stays open. So we were having that conversation of like, how do you balance that for like safety, that door shuts if somebody doesn't pull on it, but not weight it too much to where somebody can't get in.
Which is what we with the front door, we did get automatic doors, but then people are like, "That door is so heavy because of the equipment." We're like, "Please use the button. We know it's heavy, but it really just use the button because that was
Yep.
our kind of our compromise." Because you're right, it was like, "How do we do this?" And the one we found, it did make it a little bit heavier, but now hopefully that allows us to be open to more. And so we're working on the bathroom ones, so hopefully those can get funded soon and we can install those.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for jumping on with me.
No problem.
Awesome. We'll talk soon.
Okay.